Hey, Eliana, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so glad to be here with you, my dear. Here I am, fit for fight.
So, won't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the profession of veterinary rehabilitation?
Okay, it's a nice story, I think, because it's not so normal from many point of views, I think. For sure, is that I've been growing with horses because they've always been in our family since I don't know how many generations. So my grandfather had race horses. So when I was a small baby, I was on the top of those race horses after they had been trained, and I was crawling among their legs in the stable, So horses are like brothers and sisters for me. They've always been. They've always been. I've always been in touch with them, and I've always been touching them. I think this is something, when I look back to my life, I think it is something that takes a very important place in what then it became my process in my life, my growing in my life, okay? Of course, I started to ride horses when I was very, very small. I was maybe 5 years old when I started my first riding school. I started very, very young, starting eventing competition. I was 12 years old when I started my first eventing competition, 3-day events. And at that time, we are talking about some years ago, not so many, but some years ago, it was not so common that such a young girl was able to start such a difficult competition. We had dressage, cross country, and show jumping, right? And since then, I started to be very much interested in exactly in this. How is this body working? How it happens that this horse is so incredibly capable to perform like this, in this way. I was extremely curious. And I can tell you that at that time, when I was a child, also our federation in our country, in Italy, was giving us much more instructions about that compared to nowadays, today. So that's, of course, gave its contribution to make my curiosity even bigger and bigger. And then my grandfather was always telling me so many things about the horses and his muscles and the problem with the horse muscles and the bones and the back and the saddle. So you see, of course, then my brain started from that time to develop in that way, to be, of course, so curious. But then people, of course, always asking me, why didn't you take then the veterinary studies?
Mm.
It's a good question, because actually I was uncertain among biology and veterinary. But in my family, nearly everybody has something to do with the law, okay? Most of them are judges or lawyers. Even my grandfather was a lawyer, actually. Although horses have always been on the side and around us. So to me, it was, what should I say, normal just to follow that direction. And actually, I have to admit that I did like it, and also like it now. I mean, it's not that I say, no, I hated the law, so I didn't want to have anything to do with that anymore. No, it's a different story. I liked it, but I kept on riding, and also try to learn always something more about horses. So on the side of the law, I had also some anatomy books, physiology books, biomechanics books about horses, because I wanted to know more and more, okay? So always studying, because that's normal in my family. Studying, it's normal. Like having breakfast, like having a nice, day on the beach, because I was born on the seafront. So that's normal for us. Reading and studying and researching, it's a part of our normal life. And that's what I'm always doing, also with other subjects, because I also like engineering, I like architecture, I like paintings, I like many things. So reading as much as I can has always been part of my life. So I started to be a professional working in a multinational company. I was a consultant. But of course, I never left the horses behind. So those two things always went on two parallel lines. And I was traveling a lot for my job. And of course, I was also reading a lot of English or American books and or magazines, Practical Horseman, Equus, The Horse, and even others. Or Mary Bromley's books, for instance, because I was so curious about this matter, and I could find a lot of inputs already at that time, where in Italy was nothing, was none, okay? No idea of what we were talking about, physiotherapy, massage, horse massage. It was ground zero, totally, okay? But to me, being always so much around, I had the chance also to see something and to watch people doing this. And once I was in the United States, I had the fantastic opportunity to meet Jack Ma. I don't know if you've ever heard about him.
No, I haven't.
In the United States, he was a very famous athlete physiotherapist. We are talking about the 1780s, 80s, and middle of the 80s. He started with human physiotherapy, and then he developed himself a little bit like I did. I was following him, always having friends with race horses who were asking him to put his hands over the horses. He found out that he could do something also to help those horses to perform better. Then he started to study, and he became, to make it short, the first American horse physiotherapist. He was at the Olympics with the American team, and he was then following all the most famous American riders. I saw him on the racetrack, and you know, he compared to me. I mean, I'm a small lady. I was very strong-minded and also strong in my body, but I'm very small. He was a huge man with huge hands, but his touch was so gentle. And I never saw a horse reacting badly when he was touching them, you know. And I was fascinated. I said, I mean, this is so normal, I thought. Of course, a horse is an athlete. I mean, I've been growing next to athletes, but I always loved them, but I never thought that they were athletes, in fact. So you got this light into your brain. And then I said, I mean, this is fantastic. So actually, from that moment, we are talking about the middle of the 80s. This started to be one of my hobbies. Okay, I wanted to learn more. And then myself, I was trying to put my hands over my horses.
Because all the time now, you're still riding and competing, right?
I'm not competing any longer, but
okay.
I'm riding every day.
Okay.
I cannot do without, huh? That's,
yeah.
I'm an addict.
I hear you. I've got a 5-year-old that is an addict. So
it's something
horses are in her heart.
Yeah, but also in your DNA, I think.
That's it.
Do you know if for any reason, like it happened now with the quarantine, I cannot ride.
Yeah.
I get kind of sick, you know. I don't feel well. I feel weak. I feel dizzy in my mind. I mean, it's like a drug addict when he's doing without, you know, the pusher.
Withdrawal symptoms from horses.
So it's probably that's the way it should be, because it's been all my life, okay? Yes. And now it's not that short, unfortunately. So it's quite some years. So I started from that to have this idea that I wanted to to try to develop something on my own, because it came very easy to me when I put my hands on the horses to do something that could help them. But of course, to do that, I needed to learn more and more, because I didn't want to harm anybody, of course. To learn more and more about biomechanics, anatomy, physiology, kinetics. So I was reading and studying all I could. And then I realized that there are some forces in the horse body working sometime in the same direction and sometime in opposite directions. And this kind of games among those forces was often creating some, say it shortly, problems when there was no balance in the muscle chains we have working all around the horse body. So I found out that learning the way the horse body was working, and then touching them, I could find there were some sore spots. And then I tried to find out which kind of tool these problems were running on the horse body. Because as everything is connected, also those spots, even if placed in different parts of the horse body, had some connections. So from that, then I started to to make my system, let's say.
Yeah.
I also tried once, always in the States, to follow a kind of stage, a course. And then that was very disappointing, because it was a very bad one. So I won't say the name of the teacher, the trainer. So as it used to be with me then, instead of being disappointed and frustrated, I was even more motivated, say, no, okay, this can be done for sure better. I have to follow my idea, my concept. And so till that point, this was still a hobby, and I still had my former job, okay? There was a moment when I said, after some years, it didn't come like this, with the snap of the fingers, of course. It took some time, but it was, for me, it was more a game with myself than something that I wanted to perform in some way, you know. But then it came a moment when I thought, why, but this thing is working, because I was trying on some friends' horses, you know. Of course, I knew so many people having horses also besides myself. I said, and it was working. It was working.
So you were
well.
treating, so you
Yes.
formulated something in your mind
Yes.
and as to a treatment, and you were testing it out.
Yes.
In this time,
yes.
with
And
your horses and maybe your friends' horses.
Friends' horses.
Yeah.
And it was working very well. So they were the first one to tell me, yeah, well, why don't you do something more? Because I mean, it's a pity that should only be a hobby. I think you should share this.
Yes.
Other people should be able to. And I said, okay, but you know, in our country, well, they said, maybe it's your destiny that you have to be the first one. Okay. So I took a very heavy decision in a way. I took a sabbatical. So I took 1 year off, saying, I will dedicate this time to see if I can introduce my way in this country. If it works, I keep on. If it doesn't work, I go back to my previous life.
Yes.
Something went very well from that moment, because I never had the chance to look back. So it was, you know, I used many kind of small marketing strategies, shall we say that? I can also tell you this story then. I was also involved in the organization and sometime in the in the committee of some big show jumping event in my country. I mean, some, you know, top level CSI or 5 stars, or also CSIO, like in Rome, Piazza di Siena, in Verona, the World Cup, many big things. So I had this idea to write some flyers and put them in the envelopes that at that time you used to give to the riders, where you had the accreditations, the food vouchers, and you know, some commercial things like that, saying that I was giving free treatments to the equine athletes, to the one who wanted to get it. Okay. I thought it was just something funny, but I had so many people, so many riders who said, come here, especially, of course, the foreigners, because they knew it. Because in other countries, there was somebody else already doing that since many
Someone
years.
doing it, yeah.
So say, come on, come here. And so I was so tired, because I was also working in the competition, of course, but I was up on the stars. Can you imagine? And then you also have to be lucky in life. I had one of our biggest top riders at that time, who had this super famous horse that was not performing at all, was doing very bad. The first day he had 24 penalties. So it was a catastrophe for a horse that had been winning everything. The rider is called Filippo Moyerson, and his horse was called Dugano. Okay. Also, the competition vets came to me and say, Eliana, come and see this horse. So I went there, and the horse was in a terrible condition. His body was full with toxins. It took me nearly 2 hours of work on his body, just, let's say, to clean him up a little bit. And the riders even said, you know, he's 17 years old. I'm thinking maybe it's time to retire him, because he's been doing so much. I said, maybe you can wait a little bit longer. We do that. It was a 3-day competition, right? Said, tomorrow you're not competing, and I'm giving one more treatment to your horse. You lunch him a little bit tomorrow, and then on the 3rd day you start the competition again. And the 3rd day he won.
Sure.
So that was a big crash.
So now you've kept our listeners in suspense now. So we got to go on to tell them exactly what is this method. So what is this method that you were using, that you used on this horse? You've actually trademarked it now, right? It's actually a trademark. Yeah.
Yes, it's a trademark.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's not that I don't think I really invented something completely new. I probably assembled many different things, plus maybe one original, okay? Because of course you have myofascial release, you have trigger points, you have mesotherapy, whatever it is already existing. But what I think I found out, for sure I did it myself, maybe also somebody else that I don't know, okay? I found out a structure on the horse body, as I told you before, that you can even draw with some lines, many lines, and depending also on what kind of discipline the horse is performing, you have more problems in some points on top of those lines than in other lines. It's a bit difficult to explain. Maybe sometimes I have a presentation with some drawings that makes it easier.
Yeah. So you basically picked up patterns in the performance horses, patterns of areas in where there is interconnected areas where there were problems, and then created a way in which to manage this.
I treat them. Normally, I'm only using, it's the whole body of the horse involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm basically mostly using only my hands. Sometimes I've been in some severe cases that you will see maybe in my webinars. I have been using also some electric stimulations and sometimes therapeutic ultrasounds, and for sure been using the underwater treadmill. And on top of that, some also exercises, okay, with cavaletti, with poles on the ground. It is everything involved in my method. And of course, also active and passive mobilizations, okay? So it's not something that you do like this. It's not something that it takes 5 minutes to perform, but the horses are recovering very fast. So that was also a very important point, I think, because if I can recall the example from the horse Dugano in this competition, that he was completely blocked in his body, although he was a huge performer. And then in 2 days, I was able to make him win a very difficult class on the third day of the competition. That gave me the sign that it was the right way. Then, of course, all over the years, I've been improving many things and changing, and you develop. So things are getting hopefully better and better. It's not very easy, for sure, to perform, but the results are, well, restoring your heart, I think. It's, it's very nice. And
So
yeah.
let's chat about your practice today now. So you obviously, through all these years, have learned all of this and put this all together, and you're using it in practice now. Tell us a little bit about your practice. So are you traveling, or do horses come to you? Have you got a brick and mortar practice, or how does your practice work?
Many things happens because I have my rehab center in Tuscany. I also have my stable and some of my horses, but I'm not working only there. I also working traveling around because I must tell you, I like it very much. Because I like to have more variety in my work. I'm very curious. And although I love my work and my method very much, I risk to get a little bit annoyed of doing more or less always the same thing. This is me, nothing to do about it. I'm a terrible person. So I wanted to have my own practice in a place, because this gave me the chance of curing some, I want to underline, always together with veterinarians, never alone, never ever. I do my job, they do their job. We work together, and I need them very, very much. So this is very important to say from the very beginning. I wanted to have that because I wanted to be able to follow some very severe cases, okay? That is nearly impossible to follow if you have to go there every day, even especially if they are far away. So there are cases you need to be after day, maybe more times during a day. So you must have the horses at home. So I wanted to do that because I wanted to be able to follow more difficult cases, and actually it happened. And this is what you will also see in my webinars in the future. I did that for quite some years, and then I decided to start traveling again, and I placed myself in the north of Italy because it's also closest to the rest of Europe, okay, also to Switzerland and to Austria, where I'm also going. And also because I like to follow different disciplines: jumping, quarter horses, dressage horses, race horses, trotters. I mean, I like to have different cases. It's, I'm also, I become more creative, and I think I can do it better. I can do my work better if I have more variety. It's stimulating my brain. I don't know how to explain it, okay?
No, I understand.
Yes, and then it gives me the chance to learn more and to become even better, because no one horse is the same as another, even if they're both trotters or both jumping horses. They are different beings, so they have different problems even if they are jumping the same class. And I like this kind of, it's tricking my brain in a way.
So your center in Tuscany, do you have somebody else who manages that?
Yes,
when you're
I
traveling?
have my students, my clever one. They are, of course, they have the chance to follow the horses were there, and of course under my supervision all the time. And I think it's working great so far. Of course, now that all this chaos happened, I didn't keep the horses with me. So I that when it all began, I decided to send them home, because I was a little bit scared at the moment, I must say. I didn't know what it was going to happen. And it was difficult also to have a vet coming to you if you needed some help. You know, everything was a bit too much.
Yes.
So I decided to stop for that period. But then, okay, now we are starting again everything, so I will also restart that. But I like to travel around and see different cases, even sometimes very difficult, but that's the challenge I like to take, I must say. And then I made also many other things, if you want to know. I don't know.
And at your center, you've got an underwater treadmill there.
Yes.
Is that where you? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Fantastic. I want to tell you this because I don't know if you have it. Maybe you have it in your country, because you started much earlier compared to us. I decided to put in the machine also the ozone therapy.
We don't do a lot of that. Yeah, I've heard of it, definitely.
Do you know that? Because I tell you why. I had my mother that she had a lot of problems with her bones, and she was given to a clinic where she was training in the water with ozone in the water.
Okay.
So I thought maybe it's also working with horses. Yeah. Then I asked the people who made the machinery, the treadmill, the underwater treadmill, if they could put this kind of jacuzzi in with ozone, and they did. And I can tell you, I've had fantastic results in healing so many things you would never imagine. And I did that together with the veterinarians in the clinic there down in Tuscany, and we had some fantastic results. So that was also rather exciting, I think. It could be an idea for everybody.
So they custom adapted your underwater treadmill to be able to do the ozone therapy too.
Yes. And it's not so complicated, because you take the machinery from the human's part size and you adapt it to the underwater treadmill. It's not so extremely complicated, but it works perfectly. You can do so many exciting things, having so many exciting results with that. Everybody should try it, I think.
Thank you for that tip. So how long have you had the center for? So how many years have you had the center?
Now it's 14 years.
Okay. And how do you manage everything? So if the center's happening, there's invoicing that has to happen, and then you're traveling and you're having to make an appointment. Have you got a practice manager or somebody helps you with that, or are you just super organized?
Yes, I'm super organized. I am. Actually, many people are asking me that question, but sometimes, do you know, I can tell you something. It's something very peculiar about my personality, I think. I'm extremely patient with horses, but all about the rest, I'm totally impatient. You know, I'm always in a hurry. I hate to wait. Things have to be done zack like this, fast and now, and very good too. So in the beginning, I started to say, okay, I must have somebody who's helping me. But then it was I thought it took me too long time to teach these people all the matters and all the things involved in my practice and everything. And I started to do it by myself, and then I kept on. Sometimes now, though, I think maybe I would be nice with some help. So I'm still doing everything by myself. Yeah, that's right. But I told you why. It's because you have to, I cannot use too much time in teaching you. Sometimes people are a bit too slow and I get impatient. So I do it by myself. But this is with many other things, not only with my work. It's more or less with everything.
So you've got quite a lot on your plate because you're obviously managing the center, you're doing your traveling, and then you're also doing your courses. So you're teaching this Equiter method, that's what it's called, in your courses. So do you ever get a chance to take a break, to have holiday?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. Good. And when it's coming, it's just exploding, this need. It's not that I feel a little bit tired and say, oh, maybe no. It's just to say, now that's enough. No, no, for sure. There's a moment that I absolutely need to run away and just, close my brain to everything connected to my work, whatever. And I just have to relax and have fun and calm down a little.
Yeah.
Yes, my body and my brain, of course, need that. So I find the time to do that. I do that.
That's good. Sure. It's good to have balance.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Eliana, if you look back at your years of practice now, what are your biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in having your own practice?
Different kind of challenges. Some smaller than others. Some very big. The big one where when somebody was asking you, do you think we can save this horse or not? It is a big question, and of course I'm never alone in taking this decision, never. You must always think that a vet is always on my side, okay?
Yeah.
It is what I need and I want, and we have to work together, and there must be an exchange and a cooperation as well. But sometimes it was the vet himself saying, I can treat this horse and I can save his life, but he cannot move. That's up to you. So that was challenging, okay? Yeah. What I did and what I still do is a fundamental in my lifestyle and in my job. I rely very, very much on horses' resources. Maybe because I've really been spending all my life with them, observing them. I could see how much they could take that maybe we humans can't even dream about it. So this always made me think that they have something more, they can do more. And not only because they are from their DNA have this destiny that they have to run away when it's necessary, right? But it's not only that. It's not only that, because that belongs to many other animals too. They have something more that I don't think we really know. Even if we know a lot about their physiology, their small red blood cells and blah, 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 and so on, the oxygen is reaching all the tissues and blah, blah, blah. We know so much, but still there is something mysterious about them that we don't know, and that makes them be so great. So what I did in those cases was to start a little bit and see what was their reaction. But in the meantime, immediately, okay? So if I saw they were cooperating and reacting immediately to my touch, to my work. Then I said, okay, let's go ahead. And of course, I took a big responsibility over my shoulder, but I always got a big prize, because then I succeeded. So this was difficult. It happened many times, also because very often people ask for your help when they have no other chance. I think this happens to many people doing this job, right?
Often.
Very often. You are the last.
Exactly, the last person. And
person.
Then all the hopes are on us.
Yes.
What can we do?
So they've been trying whatever, everything, and then they say, okay, now it's up to you or nothing. So it can be terrible, but you know, I think if this is happening to me, it must be a sign of something, because it has been so often, Meg, that I was in places just by coincidence where something bad happened to a horse, and I was there to take care of that horse. It has been something attracting me, maybe, I don't know. So, but also with other animals. There was one day you had a questionnaire where you were asking if we were helping other animals to survive or something like that. I didn't have time to answer, but I did. I did with birds, I did with rabbits, I did with dogs, with cats, so saving a lot of animals. So I took those big challenges and I succeeded. And that makes me feel not only happy, more, because when I'm taking care of a horse in that way, it's like if we are one thing. We are one thing, okay?
I think in our job, I think that we have to be so in tune with energies, and over time you get this natural instinct about things, you know? And I think that generally in other professions, maybe there'll be people that are more intuitive than others, but I think that in society, I think we sometimes suppress that. But I think with what we do, because we are connecting and we're touching, that intuition and that natural instinct that we have about healing. I think that we got to learn to trust ourselves. And I think it's definitely something for me that I realized that you have this ability to be able to do something and to know certain things, you know, whether you're able to help or you aren't. And I think that what I want to say to all the listeners is, guys, just trust yourself, trust your natural instinct of stuff, trust your intuition as to what you're able to do. And if you think that you should do something, there's a reason. It's sort of like being a mother. It's that motherly instinct. Vet rehabber instinct.
Yes, very much. In fact, that belongs much more to us, to women and to men. There are men with this kind of gift, okay? Because it is a gift. It's right what you say. It's something connected to intuition and something you feel inside that is very strong, that you want to take care of somebody, and you feel you can do it, you can handle, you can manage that. And if you work according to this feeling, then you have results. And it's something you feel so strong that you cannot run away. Sometimes I can tell you, it has happened sometimes that I've been fighting sometimes with somebody who wanted to, put down the animal. And I said, no, please, just let me try. Let me try only for few days, only few days. And then if we see that it's going better, then you decide again what you want to do. And then they did it, and then we had this happy ending. So it's something you feel very strong inside. And you know what? There is something more, at least about me. When I'm helping a horse to recover, to feel better, to move again, because I was treating paralyzed horses too, it's like also regenerating myself. I mean, I feel stronger, I feel better. So it's also something concerning myself. I feel better too. It's therapeutic also for me. I feel regenerated. I feel stronger. Instead of feeling tired, I feel stronger. I feel better. And that's also one of the reasons why I keep on doing this, because I want to go around as long as I can. And also because I also want to teach that, because I would like my students and other people have the same feeling I have. This is what I would love to do.
So it sounds like you have a lot of pleasure from your job, like
Passion
most of us
and
veterans.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So, Eliana, if you could give advice to anybody that is coming into the field, so one thing that you could tell them, what would you tell them?
I tell you what I'm doing with myself, okay? What I'm thinking when I'm going to a new client. What I think to myself is, if you don't know what to do nothing. If you know what to do, go for it 100% with your passion and your involvement, okay? Just go for it without any hesitation, because in this way you are also convincing your clients that you are able to do it. They trust you and they let you do the job. If you are not sure, if I'm not sure and I need more time, I simply say it. You know what? I need some more information. I would like to talk one more time with your vet. So basically, be very straight and very honest. Because in this way, people will trust you, and especially be able to explain what is going on. If you think you cannot do, say why you can't. If you think you're able, say why and what is going on with this horse, and explain, because you also need the help to succeed, okay? You can never do everything only by yourself on your own. So to get their help, you have to explain and convince them. If you have doubts, just say it. I need some more information. I'll be back to you in a couple of days. This is, I think, the only way of working. But for sure, what is my principle, to be clear. Explain and be honest of what is going on. What are your thoughts? Whatever. Very, very clear.
That's great advice. Just be true, basically.
Yeah,
be authentic,
exactly.
and just basically say exactly how you feel about it. You don't have to pretend to be someone else.
No.
So it's
Never
explain to them exactly how it is. If you needed more information, you need more information.
Yes,
if you're comfortable,
exactly.
you're comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. And in this way, I can tell you, people really trust me very much.
Yeah.
But it has also something to do with your personality, Meg, I think. Is not everybody, sometimes I have this problem with my students, because sometimes they feel a bit shy. So it's not so easy. It's not easy for everybody to perform like this. There are many people who are very shy and have some troubles. So I try to teach them also how to get rid of these problems with themselves. But the best way is to be clever. If you are clever, then you are more confident. To be clever, you must have a good knowledge. Okay. So you have to study. You have to read. You have to be willing of performing well, which means you have to train yourself a lot. So if you are demanding with yourself, then you will be a good performer, I think.
I think you're so right. I mean, to be able to be confident, you have to be able to explain things, and you have to have that knowledge. And if I think back to my patients and the ones that I felt confident and good about treating and easy to talk to the owners, it was always the cases that I had knowledge and experience with, okay? So in the beginning, experience is something that you don't have, but you can have knowledge. And that's why you need to be a lifelong learner like yourself, Eliana.
Yes.
You just keep learning. You just never stop learning. It's
and
our
that's
online.
Yes, it's a fantastic thing. I'm learning every single day. And I hope it will never stop. It will never end. because that's my joy, I must say, the joy of my life. And this also gives me the opportunity to transfer to my students some of my experience, okay? Because of course, when they start, for them is more difficult because they have no experience. So I try, what I do transfer to them the experience I had with several cases, okay? So they can be more prepared when they have to face them for the first time. I think it's also a good help. But the most important thing is to be willing of learning every day. And that's the excitement in our life, I think, for everybody. Should be.
So our online pet health hashtag is online pet health hashtag never stop learning.
Yes,
So.
exactly. That's great. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Eliana, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful chatting to you, and I've loved hearing all about how you got into the field. And yes, I just want to say, just keep on learning and keep on just bringing all these amazing ideas of yours, and keep on teaching. You're doing great things.
I hope I will, and I hope to have other people to share my knowledge with, because and to learn from. So this is what I want to do. And that's also why I joined your fantastic community, you see. That's why I'm here. So it was
Thank you for being a part.
Pleasure for me, great pleasure. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Eliana. Bye-bye.
Bye.